Imagine it's Sunday evening. You promised yourself you'd get some reading done, maybe even plan your week. But instead, you find yourself sitting on the couch, scrolling endlessly on your phone. One short video leads to another. One notification turns into an hour of distraction. And before you know it, the evening is gone. Does this sound familiar? If yes, don't feel guilty, you're not alone. This is the reality of us live in today. And it's not because we're lazy or because we lack willpower. It's because of how our brains are wired and how modern life hijacks that wiring. So, welcome to Dopamine Reset, Focus and Discipline. In this journey together, we're going to explore how dopamine shapes our behavior, why it often keeps us trapped in endless cycles of distraction, and most importantly, how we can reset our brains to regain focus, discipline, and real fulfillment. Today, we will discuss three main things: why our modern lifestyle is creating a dopamine overload, how this overload is silently destroying our focus and motivation, and finally, what a dopamine detox really means and why it's the first step to taking back control of our lives. So, let's begin our journey with the first step. We need to understand the problem before we can fix it. Chapter 1. The problem. Why we need a dopamine detox. Every time you unlock your phone, every time you get a new like, a new message, or a new piece of entertainment, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine. Now, dopamine itself is not the enemy. In fact, it's essential. It's what motivates us to get out of bed, to work, to chase goals. But here's the problem. In today's world, dopamine has become too easy to get. It's like fast food for the brain. Cheap, quick, and everywhere. Social media, video games, binge watching, junk food, online shopping, all of these activities provide instant dopamine hits. And when your brain gets used to this constant stimulation, normal life starts to feel boring. Think about it. Studying feels boring. Working feels boring. Even having a face-to-face conversation feels boring compared to the flood of stimulation you get from your phone. That's why so many of us struggle to focus. Not because we don't care, not because we aren't capable, but because our brain is overstimulated and regular tasks no longer give us enough dopamine to hold our attention. Let me give you a small example. A young student sits down to prepare for an exam. She promises herself, just 1 hour of study, and then I'll relax. But within minutes, she feels the urge to check her phone. One quick glance at social media. Just one. But that one glance turns into 20 minutes of scrolling. By the time she puts the phone down, her brain is no longer interested in the textbook. The brain says, why bother with this slow, boring thing when I can get instant excitement from my screen? This is the invisible trap we all live in. And slowly, it erodes our focus, our discipline, and our ability to do deep, meaningful work. So, what's the solution? Do we have to cut off all pleasure from our lives? Of course not. The solution is to reset the balance. To take a step back from overstimulation, so our brain can find joy and motivation in the things that truly matter. This process is called a dopamine detox. And in the latter part, we'll explore how instant gratification is stealing our potential and why long-term fulfillment is the real secret to happiness and success. Chapter 2. The trap of instant gratification. Now, let's go a little deeper. Why is this a problem? Why does instant pleasure feel so good in the moment, but leave us feeling empty afterwards? This brings us to one of the most powerful forces shaping our behavior: instant gratification. Instant gratification is when we chase quick rewards, like scrolling TikTok, binging Netflix, eating junk food, or checking notifications again and again. It feels amazing at first. But here's the catch: the satisfaction doesn't last. The more we seek quick pleasures, the more our brain demands them. It's like pouring water into a bucket with holes. No matter how much you fill it, it never stays full. And this is exactly why so many of us struggle with procrastination, distraction, and even low motivation. Our brains are stuck in the cycle of chasing small, meaningless rewards, instead of the bigger, more fulfilling ones. Let me paint you a picture. Imagine two friends, Sarah and Amir. Sarah spends her evenings scrolling social media, watching random videos, and snacking on chips. She feels good in the moment, but by the end of the night she feels tired, unproductive, and guilty. Amir, on the other hand, decides to spend his evenings differently. He studies for his exam, goes to the gym, and practices guitar for half an hour. It's not as exciting in the moment. In fact, sometimes it feels boring. But after a week, Amir feels proud. He sees progress in his studies, he feels healthier, and his music is improving. Now ask yourself, who's really happier in the long run? Sarah, who chased instant pleasure but gained nothing? Or Amir, who delayed his gratification but gained progress, confidence, and growth? Here's the science behind it. Our brains were designed for survival. Thousands of years ago, when food was scarce and danger was everywhere, quick rewards helped us stay alive. But in today's world, this same system is being hijacked. Technology, fast food, entertainment, they all give us rewards instantly without effort. And here's the result. We train our brains to expect everything to be quick, easy, and exciting. So when it comes to real-life goals, like studying, building a business, getting fit, or learning a skill, we lose patience. We quit too soon. We say, this is too hard, too boring, too slow. But in reality, it's not the work that's the problem. It's our brain that's been rewired by instant gratification. This is why a dopamine detox is so powerful. It's not about giving up pleasure forever. It's about breaking free from the trap of instant gratification, so we can enjoy the bigger rewards that come with discipline and long-term effort. When you stop chasing little dopamine hits, something amazing happens. Your brain slowly learns to enjoy the process again. Studying becomes rewarding. Working on your goals feels satisfying. Even simple things, like going for a walk or having a deep conversation, start to feel alive again. So here's the truth. Instant gratification steals your future. It gives you comfort today, but emptiness tomorrow. Long-term gratification, on the other hand, asks for effort today, but gives you freedom, growth, and true happiness tomorrow. And that's why the next step in our journey is so important. Because now we must ask, how do we actually reset our brains? What does a dopamine detox look like in practice? And how can we apply it in our daily lives? Chapter 3. What a dopamine detox really means. Now that we've seen how dopamine shapes our behavior and why instant gratification is such a trap, let's clear up one of the biggest misunderstandings out there, the term dopamine detox itself. Because when people first hear it, they imagine something extreme, like locking yourself in a dark room, cutting out all pleasure, or trying to literally remove dopamine from your brain. That's not what it means at all. So let's talk about what a dopamine detox really is. Imagine this. You decide, starting tomorrow, I'm going to do a dopamine detox. You think it means no phone, no laptop, no TV, no music, no books, no coffee, no fun, basically just staring at the wall all day. Now, yes, some people on the internet promote this kind of extreme challenge. But in reality, that's not sustainable. And more importantly, that's not the true purpose of a dopamine reset. The goal isn't to punish yourself. The goal is to retrain your brain, to free it from constant overstimulation, so that normal, healthy activities become satisfying again. What it actually is. A dopamine detox doesn't mean removing dopamine. You can't do that. Dopamine is essential for survival. It's the chemical that helps us move, learn, and even stay alive. Instead, a dopamine detox means reducing the number of artificial spikes of dopamine you give yourself each day. Things like endless scrolling, binge-watching, video games, junk food, and quick dopamine hits from social media notifications. By cutting down on these activities for a set period of time, a few hours, a day, or even longer, you allow your brain to reset. And suddenly, the simple, meaningful things, reading, walking, writing, working, start to feel rewarding again. Balance, not extremes. Oh, and here's the key. A dopamine detox isn't about eliminating all fun forever. It's about regaining balance. When your brain is constantly bombarded by fast dopamine hits, normal life feels boring. But once you reset, you'll notice something beautiful. A walk outside feels refreshing. Writing in a journal feels meaningful. Working on a project feels deeply satisfying. That's the whole point, not to remove pleasure, but to reclaim it. So remember this, a dopamine detox isn't some punishment or a monk-like existence. It's not about removing dopamine. It's about creating space, cutting back on artificial highs so your brain can enjoy the simple, real rewards of life again. And once you've understood this, you're ready for the next step, how to actually do it. Because in the next chapter, we'll go through the practical process of a dopamine detox, step by step, so you can start your own reset. Chapter 4. The detox process, step by step. Now that we know what a dopamine detox really is, it's time to get practical. Because understanding the concept is one thing, but actually doing it is where the real transformation happens. So today, let's walk through the step-by-step process of a dopamine reset. By the end of this chapter, you'll have a clear roadmap you can start using right away. Step 1. Identify your triggers. First, you need to know what's really pulling your strings. For some, it's TikTok or YouTube, where one short video turns into hours. For others, it's junk food, video games, or even compulsively checking emails. Here's a simple test. Look at the activities you do when you're stressed, bored, or trying to avoid real work. Those are your triggers. Write them down. Naming them is the first step to breaking free. Step 2. Choose your detox window. A dopamine detox doesn't have to mean disappearing for 30 days. Start small. You might choose a few hours in the evening, or maybe one full day on the weekend. Advanced? Try a 72-hour reset. The key is consistency over extremity. A short but regular detox is far more powerful than one extreme attempt you can't maintain. Step 3. Remove easy temptations. This is crucial. You can't rely on willpower alone. You need to design your environment. Delete distracting apps from your phone, at least temporarily. Put the TV remote in another room. Move junk food out of sight. When temptation is far away, discipline becomes easy. Remember, it's not about being stronger, it's about being smarter. Step 4. Replace, don't just remove. Here's the biggest mistake people make. They remove all distractions but don't replace them with anything. That leads to boredom and eventually relapse. Instead, choose low dopamine, high-value activities. Reading, journaling, going for a walk, meditating, planning your goals, spending time with loved ones. These activities give your brain calmer, steadier dopamine rewards. Over time, they start to feel deeply fulfilling. Step 5. Reflect at the end. At the end of your detox period, take 5 minutes to reflect. Ask yourself, how did I feel without the constant stimulation? What was hard? What was easier than expected? What activity gave me the most peace? This reflection is what transforms a one-time detox into a lasting habit. It helps you carry the benefits into your daily life. So there you have it, the 5 steps. Identify your triggers, choose your detox window, remove temptations, replace them with meaningful activities, and reflect at the end. It may sound simple, but trust me, once you try it, you'll notice how much lighter and sharper your mind feels. And in our next chapter, we'll take it even further. We'll explore what life looks like after a dopamine detox, how to build a sustainable lifestyle where focus and discipline come naturally. Chapter 5. Life After Detox, Building Sustainable Focus. Congratulations! If you've gone through even one dopamine detox, you've already done something powerful. You've proved to yourself that you can take back control. But here's the real question, what happens next? Because the detox itself is only the beginning. The real magic is what you do after the reset. Today, we'll talk about how to build a lifestyle where focus, discipline, and clarity become natural, not forced. Step 1. Embrace a new baseline of stimulation. After a detox, many people notice something surprising. Simple activities, like reading a book, going for a walk, or having a conversation, suddenly feel more enjoyable. Why this happen? Because your brain's reward system has recalibrated. You've lowered the volume on constant noise, and now you can actually appreciate the quieter joys of life. This is your new baseline. Protect it. Step 2. Create daily rituals. Discipline doesn't come from fighting yourself every day. It comes from routines that carry you forward. Here are some rituals you can build. A morning routine with journaling, meditation, or stretching. A focused work block where your phone stays in another room. An evening walk to reflect and calm your mind. These rituals become anchors. They give structure, and structure gives you freedom. Step 3. Redesign your environment. Think of your environment as an invisible hand always guiding you. If your phone is on the desk, you'll check it. If junk food is in the fridge, you'll eat it. But if you surround yourself with books, a clean workspace, and healthy food, you won't even need willpower. Your environment will do the work for you. That's how discipline becomes automatic. Step 4. Focus on identity, not just habits. Here's something James Clear talks about in Atomic Habits. Real change doesn't come from setting goals, it comes from changing your identity. Don't just tell yourself, I want to be productive. Tell yourself, I am the kind of person who values focus. Don't just say, I want to work out. Say, I am the kind of person who takes care of their body. When your identity shifts, habits follow naturally. Step 5. Build a sustainable balance. Remember, the goal is not to cut out all pleasure from your life. Social media, entertainment, even video games, they're not evil. They only become harmful when they dominate your time. So instead of elimination, think moderation. Set boundaries. Use tech mindfully. Choose activities that enrich, not just distract. That balance makes your focus sustainable. So here's the truth. A dopamine detox is not just about removing distractions. It's about building a life where your focus feels effortless, where your discipline comes naturally, and where you actually enjoy the quiet, simple moments again. If you can carry this mindset forward, you won't just survive in a world full of noise, you'll thrive. And in our next chapter, we'll dive into something even deeper, how dopamine itself can become your ally, not your enemy, and how to use it to drive your biggest goals in life. Chapter 6. Turning dopamine into your ally. So far, we've talked about the traps of overstimulation, the dangers of instant gratification, and how a dopamine detox can reset your brain. But here's the exciting part. Dopamine isn't your enemy. Yes, heard right, it's actually a tool, one of the most powerful tools you have for achieving your goals. Today, we'll learn how to use dopamine intentionally, so it works for you, not against you. First, understand dopamine as motivation. Think of dopamine like fuel in a car. Without fuel, you can't go anywhere. Too much fuel at the wrong time, and the car sputters or worse, burns out. Dopamine drives desire. It makes you want something, whether it's a piece of chocolate, a new video, or finishing a project. But here's the key, not all dopamine is created equal. Quick, cheap dopamine gives you pleasure but no real progress. Strategic dopamine, earned through meaningful work, fuels motivation, confidence, and long-term satisfaction. Second, use dopamine as a reward system. Here's a simple trick I want you to try. Instead of letting dopamine control you, let it reward you for the things that matter. For example, finish a focused study session, then watch one episode of your favorite show. Complete a workout, then enjoy a small treat. Write 500 words on a project, then check a notification. By pairing dopamine with productive habits, your brain starts associating effort with reward. Slowly, your habits become self-reinforcing, and your motivation skyrockets. Stack habits with dopamine in mind. This is called habit stacking and it's powerful. You take something you already enjoy and link it to a new, productive behavior. For example, listen to your favorite podcast while cleaning your room. Drink your morning coffee while planning your day. Go for a walk and brainstorm ideas for your goals. When you do this, dopamine becomes a bridge. It helps you transition from instant pleasure to meaningful action. Fourth, delay gratification strategically. Human, relatable example. Now, I know what you're thinking, but isn't that what we tried to escape with the detox? Yes, but here's the difference. Before, we were slaves to instant gratification. Now, we learn to delay gratification intentionally so the reward becomes bigger, sweeter, and more meaningful. Think about it. The satisfaction of finishing a challenging project feels infinitely better than scrolling through social media for an hour. When you train your brain this way, dopamine becomes a partner in growth, not a source of distraction. And fifth, celebrate small wins. Oh, and here's one of my favorite parts. Don't wait for the massive goals to reward yourself. Celebrate small wins. Completed your first detox day? Celebrate. Finished a focused hour of work? Celebrate. Read 10 pages instead of watching videos? Celebrate. These small victories train your brain to enjoy progress. Over time, dopamine fuels consistency, and consistency fuels extraordinary results. So remember, dopamine is not the enemy. It's a tool, a powerful ally you can use to guide your focus, motivate your actions, and reinforce positive habits. By learning to manage it intentionally, by pairing it with meaningful work, by celebrating small wins, you transform dopamine from a distraction into a driver of your success. And in our final chapter, we'll tie everything together, showing you how to build a life of focus, discipline, and fulfillment, where you not only reset your dopamine, but live intentionally every single day. Chapter 7. Long-term success, habits over willpower. So far, we've reset our brains, learned to manage dopamine, and even turned it into an ally. But here's a critical question. How do we make these changes last? How do we ensure that focus and discipline aren't just temporary? The answer is simple, yet powerful: habits over willpower. Because willpower is limited. Let me tell you a story. Imagine trying to go a full day resisting every distraction using only willpower. No phone, no junk food, no videos. Sounds heroic, right? But here's the problem. Willpower is like a battery. It depletes over time. By mid-afternoon, you're tired, distracted, and the temptation wins. Relying solely on willpower is like trying to row upstream against a strong current. Eventually, you'll get exhausted. Then build systems that work for you. That's why habits are game changers. A habit doesn't require constant effort, it's automatic. You don't have to decide to brush your teeth every morning, you just do it. Your goal now is to turn focus and discipline into habits. Design your environment, stack your routines, and link actions to cues. When your productive behaviors become habits, willpower becomes optional. You're no longer fighting yourself, your system does the work for you. Small, consistent actions help you to win. Think of a bamboo tree. For the first 4 years, you water it every day, but nothing happens. No growth above ground. Most people give up. But in the 5th year, it shoots up 80 feet in just a few weeks. Habits work the same way. Tiny, consistent actions, a few pages of reading, a short workout, a focused work session, compound over time. And suddenly, results that seemed impossible start appearing. That's the magic of habits. Focus on identity, not just results. This is the secret sauce. Don't just chase outcomes like, I want to finish a project, or I want to get fit. Ask yourself, who am I becoming? I am the kind of person who values focus. I am the kind of person who completes what I start. I am the kind of person who takes care of my body and mind. Your identity drives your habits. Once your actions align with who you want to be, success becomes natural, not forced. It's very important to protect your wins. Here's something to remember, even small lapses happen. One day of distraction doesn't erase progress. But if you let one lapse turn into a week, and a week into a month, your momentum fades. Protect your wins. Keep your environment clean. Keep your routines consistent. Celebrate progress, no matter how small. And remember, every day is a new opportunity to reinforce the habits that define you. So here's the lesson. Willpower is not the key. Systems and habits are. Small, consistent actions aligned with your identity create unstoppable momentum. By focusing on habits over willpower, you turn discipline from a struggle into a lifestyle. You move from surviving the noise to thriving in a world full of distractions. And in our final chapter, we'll bring it all together, showing you how to live intentionally, fully, and with lasting focus and fulfillment. Chapter 8. The New You, Living with Focus and Fulfillment. Congratulations! If you've followed along this journey, you've learned how to reset your brain, manage dopamine, build focus, and turn habits into your most powerful ally. But now comes the most exciting part. What does life look like after all this? What does the new you feel like? Now you belong a life of clarity. Picture waking up in the morning and feeling clear, motivated, and in control. Your mind isn't pulled in 1,000 directions. Your attention is focused on what truly matters. You're no longer a slave to notifications, distractions, or instant pleasures. Instead, you wake up with purpose, and each day has a rhythm that feels natural and rewarding. Discipline as a lifestyle. Discipline is no longer something you have to force. Because you've built systems, habits, and identity-driven routines, focus comes automatically. You work on your goals without thinking twice. You complete tasks because that's who you are. You don't rely on motivation alone. Your environment, habits, and mindset do the work for you. Finding joy in simple things. And here's a beautiful part of the transformation. Ordinary activities start feeling extraordinary again. A walk in the park feels peaceful. Reading a book feels immersive. Conversations with friends and family feel meaningful. You've trained your brain to enjoy life, not just the artificial highs of instant dopamine. And that's true freedom. Living intentionally. The new you doesn't drift through life. You make choices consciously. You spend time where it matters. You invest in yourself, your growth, and your relationships. Every action, big or small, aligns with your values and long-term goals. Every day is a chance to strengthen your focus, build your discipline, and live a life you're proud of. So today we've covered a full journey, from understanding dopamine and its traps, to performing a dopamine detox, to using dopamine as your ally, and finally, to building a life full of focus, discipline, and fulfillment. Remember, lasting change doesn't happen overnight. It happens step by step, habit by habit, day by day. And every small action you take reinforces the new you, a version of yourself who is in control, intentional, and thriving. If you found this audiobook helpful, here's a small request. Like this video to show your support. Leave a comment sharing your favorite takeaway or how you plan to reset your dopamine. And don't forget to subscribe so we can continue exploring powerful ideas and strategies to help you live your best life. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Take that one small habit and start today. Your focus, discipline, and fulfillment await.